one of the key components that we found was very important to actually connect at a very literal level with folks came through our art program. Our art program has evolved in TriMet not as sort of hanging pictures on a wall, but trying to find ways that we can engage in the community and the dialogue in the sense of place that folks have their own sense of place, not one that we decide to impart upon them. And at this station, which had been about removing the forest, removing the community, our artist Brian Borello wanted to bring back a sense of nature, but in a different, modern, high-tech version. And so my solar trees here are actually functioning solar panels that charge a battery, which at night provides illumination. And when I asked you, how would you find your way to this station, Brian came up with this idea at night when folks are coming out of the arena to look for the lit trees to sort of help. Hey, he's continuing to work on other parts of our system with this. The story here that he is one of our team of artists early on was to really understand what is the kind of the deep story of the area that we're looking at. What's the history of the place? Inhabited, going all the way back to the native peoples that were in this part of North Portland and who are still around in different ways, as well as the other kind of community of folks that have come in over time. This is a very strong industrial background of making and manufacturing and services that we're moving into. It also, in the scene as we get to the end, a community that was built during World War II to manufacture ships, which became from Oregon, which has a wonderful history of being really white and rather racist in both its policies as well as its practices, with a chance for a community to actually be more inclusive culturally as well as racially. And when that community of Vanport was wiped out by a flood from the Columbia River back in the late 40s, that population tried to spread out into Oregon and Portland, and were found that no, you can't. In fact, the idea of, maybe heard the expression redlining, that literally was on the map. They lined red where they could not move out from beyond this area. And so our African community is here, still is here very strong. But that was part of the story. That was the real history that through our art program, as we're thinking about bricks and mortar and rail and catenary wires, became a very important thing for us to understand in how we positioned the station, how we built the alignment, how we designed it, and how we changed our methodology to really be much more asking questions and listening for the answers back and creating more of a dialogue.
Bob, could you just talk about that, that you linked artwork with graffiti and the fact that I think you said the engineers sort of said this won't work, but now they did.
A lot of art in places, and it's not like everything here is totally bucolic and everything's figured out, but what we began to understand was that when you begin to imbue the design of the station and the culture and the expectations of the neighborhood, it becomes a lot harder for those folks, those residents, to begin to deface it, because they see themselves hopefully in the things that you build, the manifestation of that. And so our art program tries to do that intangible aspect, but to do it finally in a way that is tangibly seen and can be touched and felt. So as we go past the stations, look for those evidence, because the story changes at every station, because every neighborhood at some level is very different. What we have found, much to our surprise and delight, is that the incidence of graffiti, the incidence of vandalism on this alignment is the lowest that we've ever had anywhere else in our system. And I attribute it directly because of trying to build it in a way that it has that connection. And that's actually, after we started to develop that, it was a lesson that we learned that Brisbane was trying to do that in some of the cultural environmental aspects that they're doing in kind of a design program there. So we didn't.
But didn't you have the engineers come back and say, do more artwork?
Yes.
We don't have to do so much graffiti.
Yeah, because my guys are out here maintaining, they've got to pick up everything, debris and everything. Instead, the art doesn't get messed with. So if you can do more of it, that would be really great. Then nothing will get ruined and everything will be artistic. you don't get maintenance guys kind of thinking that way ever. But now they're my little disciples running around. More art, more art.